Hi everyone, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I am here live to take your immigration questions. So if you have a question that's immigration related tonight, go ahead and put your questions in the comments and I will go ahead and answer them. So let me formally introduce myself for those of you who don't know. I'm U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I help clients to get their green cards and status in the United States, to live and work in the United States. So I know that if you are thinking about going through the process, you are going through the process, you definitely have that question that keeps you up at night. Jojo Becky, thanks for sharing the live. So go ahead, drop your questions in the comments, because for the next half an hour, my priority will be your questions. So I usually come with a topic to talk about. And I would like to talk about applying for the green card on your own if you are in a situation where you're being mistreated by certain U.S. citizen and green card holder relatives. So Douglas94, hi, I'm from Trinidad. Can I apply for the green card from Trinidad and what's the cost associated? So you can apply for the green card from Trinidad, but you're going to have to qualify. So you'll either have to qualify through an employer. So if an employer is willing to sponsor you, because it's really the employer that will basically foot the bill for you to get that green card, or a family member. If that family member, so a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse or parent, or a U.S. citizen sibling or a U.S. citizen son or daughter 21 and up can file for you as well. So it depends on how you qualify, and the cost associated with it also depends on which green card application you're pursuing. So positive messages 17. Hello, if you overstayed and you got married and applied for the green card, will it affect you? So if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you overstayed your visa, then you still can go through the adjustment of status application process successfully. Now, I don't know your particular circumstances, but generally that is very common and it does go through without a hitch most times. If you're concerned about something particular in your case, it is worth it to schedule a consultation with me and let's go over your circumstances to make sure you'll be okay. Now, if you are married to a green card holder, then adjustment of status and you have fallen out of status, adjustment of status process may not be for you, and you want to make sure that you are following the right procedures to get to the green card and that you're not actually sabotaging yourself, or you're not headed towards a denial. So keep that in mind. So if you're married to a green card holder, be careful, because applying for the green card while you're in the United States may not be the best option if you've overstayed. Now, unless of course that spouse, so if you had a green card holder spouse who mistreated you and you're applying based on the mistreatment, then that could be a different story. But that's why I'm saying it's best to get a legal consultation, because there are these different scenarios and different circumstances that really can direct the path that your green card process will take. So keep that in mind. It may affect it if you've overstayed and you're applying for the green card through a green card holder spouse. It may very well negatively affect the process. There are extra steps that you have to take. So you have to apply for a waiver, forgiveness, to be able to go on to finish the green card process in your home country. If you've applied through a U.S. citizen and you've overstayed your visa, then you could very well go through the adjustment of status process and stay in the U.S. while the green card process is pending. So I have a F4 case for 13 years now, currently in Jamaica. Is it possible to wait in the U.S.? So Masony, so it would not be the best option unless you can continue your legal status in the United States. Meaning you can, now a visitor's visa wouldn't cut it because your process, there is at least another year in your process. And so if you are coming in on another type of work visa, that may be the best, that may be possible. But if not, if you're coming in on a visitor's visa, then you probably would not be able to wait it out and go through the green card process successfully. Nasirmi Wada, hi there. Having too many violation tickets affect my citizenship? So it may. It depends on what the facts are in your case. If you've been convicted for anything, if you've had too many cases and it's ended up in criminal court, it may very well cause a problem. This is the situation where you'll definitely want to schedule a consultation. Make sure you're protected before you start the application process. Make sure you know your rights, know what you're in for. My I-751 is pending. It's almost 11 months. I'm still married to U.S. citizen, but we have different address. So unfortunately, the process is taking a long time. Just make sure that you are up to date on your application and that you have met all the requirements on your end. Schedule a consultation if you'd like to go through the process, if you're facing any difficulties in the process, and then we can talk more. I can advise further. Chem J30, filing is being done by mom who is a U.S. citizen. So Chem J30, if your mom is filing for you and she's a U.S. citizen, if you're under 21 and unmarried, then you can go through the process as an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen. And that means you can apply for the green card while staying in the U.S. if you have no other disqualifying issues going on. Now, if you're over 21 or you're married, then that is you're not necessarily going to qualify for the adjustment of status process. You'll have to apply for a waiver and then return. Once you get an approved waiver, return to your home country to complete the green card process. If you've overstayed in the U.S. by more than 1 year, more than 6 months actually, you don't want to leave without an approved waiver. So that's where you definitely want to get legal advice. So Tuk 1981, it's nice to see you and thanks for sharing the live. 876 Aquamarine, thanks for sharing the live. Ranalph, good. How can I apply for U.S. citizenship? So if you have been a green card holder for at least 5 years, if you married a U.S. citizen and you received a green card through that U.S. citizen and you've been married for 3 years to that U.S. citizen, you can wait for 3 years and then file for U.S. citizenship. It's filed on what's called the N400 form. Ankuti, can I apply for citizenship while my I-751 is pending? Yes. So if your I-751 is pending and it has been pending for 2 years and 9 months, you can go forward and apply for the citizenship. And what they'll do is at the naturalization, the interview, the officer will actually also decide your I-751 at the same time, and all being well, if it goes well, then they would go on to adjudicate your citizenship application. So Marissa, what is the waiting time when a U.S. citizen sponsor parents along with young sibling? Thank you. So with the parents, you can expect as little as 9 months to as long as 18 months for a U.S. citizen to sponsor their parents, because they're in the preferred group. So immediate relatives of U.S. citizens. Young siblings, on the other hand, would be at least a 14-year process, just depending on where you are. So if you're in the Caribbean or Africa, for example, it's 14 years. But if you're in Mexico, it could be as long as 22 years. India, 15 years. Philippines, 19 years. So, Gembeline, can a family self file to live in the USA without any immediate family? So can a family file to live in the USA without any immediate family connections to the USA? So my answer to you would be, it really depends on your circumstances. So there are types of green cards where individuals can file for themselves, but this would be for individuals who have extraordinary abilities. So they've reached the top of their career, the top of their field. They're well known in their career in sciences, arts, business, education, and athletics. So if if they fall within that category, that's one way that they could apply, but they would have to continue to have legal status in the U.S. to apply. Otherwise, you will definitely have to qualify through an employer. So if there's an employer who's willing to sponsor you for a green card, that's another way to do it, and you could follow that process. Otherwise, then you would definitely have to have immediate family connections. Another way is if you and your family are afraid to return to your home country. For example, in Venezuela, there's a lot of political turmoil, and so many people are in fear to return to their home country, and that could be a basis for an application without any family ties. But it's not a green card. Asylum is just saying that you're afraid to return to your home country because you will be persecuted. And then what will happen is, if you're granted asylum, then the next step is that after a year of having asylum, you can apply for a green card. So, hi, I'm in Jamaica. Can a family self-file to live in the USA without immediate family connection? So I did answer that. Dylan Dale Bailey. What if you're not married? So if you're not married, you'd have to qualify through an employer or through another type of family member, like a parent or a U.S. citizen sibling. But keep in mind, the sibling process is not long. It's not short. It's not a quick solution. Asked by Guy. So if I start the process, so Guyanese TikTokers, if I start the process but my stay is about to end, so it depends. So there are some application processes where you don't necessarily have to maintain your legal status. If you're, for example, if you're the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, but if you are in any other type of category, so an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen would be the spouse, the parent, or the son or daughter who is under 21 and unmarried. If you don't fall within that category, then you will need to make sure that you qualify and maintain your legal status to be able to continue the process. So just vent peeps, can I apply for a green card if I overstayed a visa by 19 years, married for 6 months? So just vent peeps, if you're married to if you're married to a U.S. citizen, there is a way to stay in the United States and apply. If you've been married to a U.S. citizen and you can show that you entered with a visa, of course, then you are allowed to stay and apply for the green card while you're here. If you're married to a green card holder, then there is a waiver process that's available. And that waiver process could enable you, while you wouldn't be able to stay in the U.S., it would give you allow you to be able to leave the country to continue the process. So Dylan Dale Bailey, I didn't skip your question. I answered. I didn't skip it. So I did answer it, but I think you missed it. So could you retype your question? So if you are not married? So that was Dylan Bailey, and you'd have to qualify through either an employer or through other means. So keep your questions coming because I am here to answer your immigration questions. So can you get a green card in Canada? So I don't know if you're asking if you can get a green card. So their immigration process is different from the US. So getting a permanent residence in Canada is not the same as getting it in the US. So Dylan Dale Bailey, what if you have ties in the US to the US? It depends on what ties. So do you have an employer who's willing to sponsor you, a family member, a qualifying family member? So it all depends. But Usually you will need to have one or two of those. What if I'm doing well in my field but I'm not well known? Could I still qualify? So it's very now, you know, with that, I don't want to tell you no, right? Because it's really, if you can provide at least 3 pieces of evidence out of a list of 10, you could possibly qualify. And some of those are international awards, national awards. So if you have a higher salary than usual because you're so good at your field, if you're a part of an organization that's selective, and you were specially invited to be a part of that organization, if you've been invited to panels, if you're well known nationally, respected nationally, and you can show, if you have publications or articles, then these are some pieces of evidence that you can show that you're at the top of your field. So now if you are doing well but you're not well known, then that is indicating to me that you're not necessarily in the top. You haven't reached the top of your field. But as I said before, I don't know what your circumstances are, and I would, if you really would like to explore that as a possible option, please go ahead and schedule a consultation. Now, I can give you a list of individuals who have received the green card based on this, and this market researchers, wine tasters, judo coach, jazz musicians, dancers, models. So these are just examples of individuals who have received it, and they don't necessarily fit our typical image of what we think a person with an extraordinary ability should have. So I don't want to ever tell you that you're doing well may be actually at the top of your field. So if this is something that you want to explore, it's worth scheduling a consultation. So let's keep those questions coming, and hang tight for those of you who have questions. So Marcia Russell 4, I got a letter from January and I don't get a call. So it depends on what this letter is. Is it so Island Gal Porter, is it better to marry in JA or in US in order to get green card, which is shorter? So it depends on, and now you can get married anywhere that you want to get married. However, which process do you want to go through? Do you want to go through the green card process in the United States, or do you want to go through the process in your home country? Do you qualify to go through the process in the United States? That's the most important question here. If you are continuing to maintain legal status in the United States, then you can, if you continue to maintain legal status in the United States and you're married to a green card holder, then that applying for the green card while in the US may be an option. However, if you can't maintain your status throughout the duration of the process, then that you're not going to qualify to apply for the green card in the United States, and you're eventually going to have to go back. But if you've overstayed, then you're in a bit of a pickle, because now you have to apply for a waiver to go back. So it just depends on not necessarily which is shorter, but which one do you qualify for, and then go from there. So Guyanese TikTokers, if my spouse sponsor me, what's the current processing time frame? So it depends, Guyanese TikTokers, on what is the status of the spouse. If they're a U.S. citizen, so I would say right now the U.S. citizen and the green card holder, because they're both, there's no wait time right now for the immigrant visa number for green card spouses of green card holders. It's taking about, I would say, expect from a 9-month process to up to a 2-year process. Busy Prince, what if you are over 40 years and have a mom who is a citizen? So your mom could file for you whether you're married or unmarried. If you're unmarried, then that's going to be about a 6 to 7 year process. If you are married, it's about a 12-year process. So asked by Smiles 079, is VAWA the only option one has being married? No. So if you're being married, so if you have marriage and then you also have based on parents. So if your parent mistreated you and you're under 25, and this is your U.S. citizen parent or your green card holder parent, and you're under 25, this is an option for you. Also, if you have a child who has grown up and they have, grown into a child who's 21 and over and they have been abusive towards you, then that is also a path for you to file. So Jojo, Becky, could you discuss a little about the E2 visa? Absolutely. The E2 visa is for individuals who would like to come to the United States to expand or start a business in the United States, and they have to be citizens of E2 countries. There's a long list. I do have a video up. You'll have to scroll through to find the video, but the video lists all the countries that are E2 countries. But I'm going to list the ones that are, in our area. And so those would be Grenada, Trinidad, Jamaica, then Panama, Costa Rica, Argentina, Bolivia. These are some examples of Caribbean countries or South American countries or Central American countries that have an E2 agreement with the United States. Also Mexico. Now, if in order to qualify for this, you have to first show that you're the citizen of an E2 country, and then after that you have to show that you have the substantial capital necessary to run a successful business in the United States. Now, what that does not necessarily mean you have to have millions of dollars, but for the type of business that you have, and then you have to show that the capital you have is substantial enough to function and run the business in a successful manner. Okay, so asked by Smiles, married for almost 2 years, but it's toxic. So in this case, if you are in a toxic situation, definitely get legal advice, get the help, because it's there. It is there for you. How about if your family sends a letter of I think that's an invitation. So in this case, if you get a letter of invitation, it does not necessarily mean much. What it means is that you will need to it doesn't have much impact. What the officer wants to see is that you qualify for the immigration benefit. So for example, if you're applying for a visa, you need to show that you have strong ties to your home country to be able to get that visa. And strong ties means that you have strong enough commitments that the officer is convinced that you will return to your home country after a temporary visit to the U.S. Persad Tamesh, overstayed LPR spouse, took biometrics for citizenship. Do I have to go back to my home country? So if you overstayed and you're the spouse of a green card holder and they're in the middle of citizenship, then if they become a U.S. citizen, then you can upgrade to the spouse of a U.S. citizen and then complete the adjustment of status process. However, as long as they remain a legal permanent resident, then you will need to eventually go back. But you need to make sure that you apply for a waiver. You should not leave the country without a waiver, because if you leave the country without that waiver, you're going to be barred from returning back to the United States. So make sure you get legal advice. Amelie 388. Hi, good night. If visa is revoked, what chance to get my visa back? It depends on why it was revoked. There could be an immigration violation that may render you inadmissible or bar you from getting a visa ever again. And so it's important to determine what happened there. Emiora, if you are coming to the US with a medical visa, how can you apply for a green card because of health reasons? So there's no way to apply based on health reasons. You must qualify through a family member or through an employer. Now, if your health reasons are related to your fear of returning to your home country because you're being persecuted or you will be persecuted, meaning you're part of a particular social group where you're the target of violence or threats, then that could be a possible path. But other than that, you can't just qualify for a green card based on just health reasons. Hi there, Chocolate 3185. It's nice to see you. So you, Mad Law, how can I become a citizen of the United States? So first you'll have to become a green card holder. Generally, you have to maintain the permanent resident status, green card holder status, for at least 5 years. If you are married to a U.S. citizen and you gained the green card to the U.S. citizen and you've been married to the U.S. citizen for 3 years or more, then you could apply within 3 years. You have to be 18 or over, good moral character, continuous residence and physical presence in the United States and in your state of residence for at least 3 months to qualify. Go ahead and schedule a consultation if you'd really like to explore your options for U.S. citizenship. Heart of Goal 06, can I still apply for a visa during COVID? So it depends on what's going on at the embassy in your country. Some embassies are closed down and they may not be accepting applications, while some are opening up, some are functioning. So it depends. Go to the website, your website, the U.S. Embassy's website in your home country and see what they're up to. Ask by Smiles, where are you located? So I am in Boca Raton, Florida, but I represent clients all over the United States. So Island Gal Porter, how long does it take between the time the NVC accepts your documents to get an interview date? So it used to be about 2 months. However, because of COVID, and it just depends on which embassies are open, which embassies are scheduling appointments. So things are a little backlogged right now. But the general time used to be about 2 months. Lisa Bernard 43. Lisa, what if you want to get a working visa? So it depends on your qualifications for employment. Are you able to assist companies with applying for H-2B visas? So absolutely, I help employers as well as individuals with their immigration needs. How about if your family sent a letter of invitation? So Althea, I did go ahead and answer that, and it's not necessary. The letter wouldn't make much of a difference. You have to show you qualify. Franklin, so Heart of Gold, can I apply for a visa during COVID? I believe I answered that. Hi there, planning to renew my visa from Africa. Do you, however, provide invitation letters? So no, I don't do invitation letters. Christina Honeyford, how long after marriage to obtain a green card and how long for filing? So you can go ahead and apply after the marriage right away if you want. There's no wait period, and you can expect a process that could range from 9 months to 2 years. It just depends on who you're applying for the green card through, what is the status of your spouse. Versa Tamesh, you're welcome. My brother lives in the U.S. as a permanent resident and I want to apply. Where do I start? So if your brother lives in the U.S. as a permanent resident, he wouldn't be able to sponsor you as the sibling. He would have to become a U.S. citizen to sponsor you. Jerome Williams, 84, why is it taking so long to hear back from immigration after sending documents? Because of the backlog and all the issues going on, unfortunately. What can a Jamaican child teen do towards going abroad? So it depends on what your situation is, but if you're Jamaican and the first thing would be to apply for a visa or an immigration benefit, the immigration benefit that you qualify for. So keep those questions coming because I'm here to answer your immigration questions. So take advantage of that and drop your questions in the comments right now. So Shawshank 68, going to marry my US citizen fiance. She does not work. Do I need a co-sponsor for my green card? So it depends on what your income is, what your household size is, and what you make based on that household size. There is what's called the I-864P form on the USCIS.gov website. And if you pull that up, so go to the website, USCIS.gov. And if you put I-864P into the search bar, it will bring up that form. And when you click on it, open it up, it's basically telling you what you should be making based on your household size. So that would guide you. When you receive a deficiency notice, how long it takes to get the interview notice. So in the case of a deficiency notice, that is, in that case, you would first have to make sure that you provide whatever documents that they are want you to provide. No interview will be scheduled without first meeting the requirements of the deficiency notice. Going to marry my U.S. citizen fiance. She does not work. Do I need a co-sponsor? So I did answer that. Do you do visa applications? Absolutely, I do. But first, what I do is schedule a consultation to make sure that you qualify for the benefit that you're thinking about, and also to explore your other options if those should be available to you. So Shandanan, thank you for that. I'm happy that I'm able to provide this information to you because I know it can be helpful to get this information. So are the U.S. embassies in the Caribbean fully, and I'm thinking you're going to say open. So it depends on what country it is. Some countries may be, and some countries and fully functional. Some countries may be and some countries maybe not. It just depends on the issue in the particular country, especially with COVID still going on. How much for the consultation? It's $150. For up to an hour, we go through your issue in detail, and then I advise. I always say it is worth doing this because you walk out knowing your rights, knowing exactly what you need to do, knowing what you're in store for, learning something new. Sometimes it actually saves people from making mistakes in their immigration process. And you also get the option to get representation throughout the rest of the process, which can be very helpful. So for $150, it's definitely worth doing that first. So hi there, Chade, I think that's Chaidi Kobe. So you'd like to bring your husband here. And if as a green card holder or as a US citizen, you would be able to sponsor your husband to come here. But it also depends on what your husband's background is, what your background is, what the overall circumstances are. So schedule a consultation is definitely worth exploring your options in a private consultation. So hi there, Sexy Tommy. It's been a while since I've seen you, and unfortunately, nothing new. So where do I go? So great question. Where do I go to get your service? So you can go to the link in my bio, and it's going to lead you to the website where you can call the office. Right now it's after hours, so an after hours receptionist will answer the phone, still take good care of you. But in this case, what they will do is take your information, and then on the next business day, which will be tomorrow, the scheduling coordinator will contact you and then schedule an official consultation with me to go through your options. So the functioning hours for the scheduling coordinator is between 8:30 and 6:30 Monday to Friday. Otherwise, you're going to get the after hours receptionist who will still take good care of you, but you will get immediate attention and get your consultation on the calendar during the week, during the weekdays. So thank you all for your questions. It has been a pleasure to be here and to answer your questions. I am here every day, and thank you for that. I am glad that I can provide the customer service, and I will keep it up. So thank you for that. So keep those questions coming tomorrow. When I go live tomorrow, I usually come on about between 7 and 10. So follow me, and then as soon as you see me go live, hop on and ask your questions. So Smiles, I am in Boca Raton, Florida, but as you will always hear me say, I represent clients all over the country because we do have to work with USCIS offices across state lines and US embassies in other countries, so I can work with you anywhere. So Sugar Brown, so your father is in the US for over 32 years. So I think now, just unfortunately, living in the United States for 34 years alone will not qualify him to apply for the green card, but there are some ways to do it. So through cancellation of removal, if Lord forbid if he ends up in removal proceedings, and this is, of course, I'm just assuming that your question is related to that. But if that's the case, then there is something called cancellation of removal that may work. So Kenny Bush Rex, I'm trying to get my wife here from the Dominican Republic. So if you're trying to get your wife here and you're a US citizen or green card holder, that is definitely a possibility. Call my office. You can go to the link in my bio. I'm going to give you the number now. If you miss it, go to the link in my bio. You can check out all my videos, and those also have the phone number plastered all over it. It's 561-405-4889. All right, have a good night, everyone, and follow me if you'd like to see when I go live to ask your questions. If I didn't get to answer your questions tonight, know that I'm here very often, and so just look out for me. Also, Kenny Buzrex, you're a U.S. citizen, so there is a way to file for your wife, or your spouse. Tequila Ma, my grandmother is a citizen. She lives in NJ. She wants to file for me. Is that possible for her to do? So generally, grandparents can't file for grandchildren directly. So my brother is a citizen. Can I use him as a visit? I'm not sure what the resoof visit is, but you can use him as a person that you're going to visit or stay with. Sugar Brown 33, you're welcome. So have a good night, everyone. So Tequila Ma, so no, grandparents can't file directly for their grandchildren. What happens though is that sometimes grandparents file for the parents, and if the child is under 21 and unmarried, they can go along with them and get the green card. So that's where you see where grandchildren get green cards through the grandparents, but it's not directly. It's not a direct filing. All right, Tequila Ma, I hope that was helpful. Have a good night, everyone.